Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome back to Football Coach. It's episode number 3. The algorithm really matters on the first 3 episodes. After that, it doesn't make as much of a difference. It really, really doesn't. If you're going to watch a series, you keep watching the series as long as you're still interested, right? So the first 3, though, that algorithm does make a big difference for the exposure to see it in the first place. So if you could take a moment, leave a like, leave a comment to help with the algorithm. The responses have been great so far through the first couple of episodes. I'm really enjoying this one. They have made so much progress with this game since it went into early access 2 years ago. In-game, I've progressed a couple of weeks now, and we just got blown out by Arizona after our blowout against Hawaii. And these are bad teams, kicking our rears. This week is really important for a few reasons. One, there's a lot of recruits that are close to commitments. And the other big reason is one of our chances to earn some extra cash from our boosters is this week. We've got a match against North Carolina, and they are heavy favorites. I don't know how they're ranked in the top 25 when they're only 4-3, but they are. We're supposed to score 17 points to get like $3.5 million. We're not going to get the extra cash as the team has lost 42-9 against North Carolina. We've picked up another injury to one of our best players, so that's not helpful. We've got quite a few injuries right now, but we do have a number of recruits, 5 of them, and I would imagine that many of these have multiple offers, but not all. And we've got some of our better recruits out here, the highest potential guys that were at the top of my list, including the number 1 guy on my list. It's a 100% chance for us. Nobody else gave him an offer. We've got our number 1 guy. We've got our quarterback for the next couple of years. He is a junior college transfer, though, but he's going to come in and with good potential and a pretty good overall or already. He'll be our starter. Also very high on my list. I think this was number 3 overall. And we were pretty high, yet we have a 15% chance, apparently. 40 and 45 for Washington State. And what is that? Western Texas? Yeah, I'm not sure who exactly is going to be Western Texas. But it's not looking good for this one. And he's heading to Pullman. He's going to be at Washington State. This is a big one, especially on the potential side. And again, we're looking. We were number 2 on his list, but apparently, when you have a close battle, there's just things about the attraction of the other schools. Even though we've thrown in the points, we just don't have what they have. So I'm seeing that in the head-to-head here, we're gonna lose a lot of them as he's gonna head to Arkansas. So our fallback on safety was somebody with much lower potential, but a pretty good overall. We are going to get him, and it looks like we are going to end up settling for him because we couldn't get the one we wanted to go after as both safeties come in at the same time. Next up is turns out a pretty good tight end prospect, and we have a less than 5% chance because, of course, South Carolina is a much bigger program than the worst one in the country. So we get 2 out of the 5. And this is going to be how it is. There's been some good tips and tricks from those who have put in more hours than I have, obviously, just getting started with the game. I'm seeing the advantage of those tips and tricks play out already, but these are a lot of the guys, well, all of these guys were amongst the initial set of targets, and we are getting some of them. My normal track record on how to handle those does work to an extent. Just spamming guys doesn't necessarily work because if others come in, that's kind of that. So we're really going to have to look for the untargeted for the most part. So some of the recruiting tips and tricks that I've either picked up or just picked up on from playing. Some of the tricks are finding the guys that others aren't going after. And there's a couple ways to do that. One is finding somebody who has a blank list. But realistically, the other ways are who has an offer already in place, at least by this stage of the season. If they don't have an offer, there's a good chance they're not going to get an offer. And I'm already finding that when somebody has an offer for somebody else, they tend to not pick us. So this guy right now, we are his only target. I don't have an offer for him, but we could almost certainly sign him if we gave him an offer, because nobody else is in on him. But as we look down the list, occasionally I'm finding somebody who gets to this point of the season and they still have no offers. So you can jump in pretty quickly and get in the mix and maybe get a signing in if you can find one that doesn't have. And the other trick to go along with it is, at least by this stage, saving my scouting points here. All you need to use is 2 to get at least a basic of what their overall is and what their potential is. And of course, we're looking for guys with high potential that can develop. But another neat trick that I'm noticing is keeping an eye on the recruiting stance. What schools are putting effort in. And if this is blank, even though there's schools on the list, schools they want to go to, if they're not actively recruiting them or giving them a scholarship offer, then, chances are really high that you can get in there and steal that recruit. So here's an example where we have somebody that is being targeted at least a little bit, but they're not actively going after him, and they have not given him a scholarship offer, but he has terrible potential. I can see why. 3 more commitments come in after a massive blowout loss to Utah 54-3, but we're playing a lot of ranked teams this season, just inside the rankings at least. All of these guys have higher potential, so we would very much like to sign each of them. And we are going to get 2 quarterbacks in this class. One, a junior college transfer who's going to come in to start right away, and another higher potential freshman to back him up and eventually take over the job. That's a really good first quarterback class for us. But at tight end, we were only just a little bit behind Michigan State when it came to the chances. In fact, they show us. Oh, it's in alphabetical order. Okay. But we were only a handful of points behind, yet it's a 70-30 chance that he's going to go there. Not sure if it's about the points or whether there's other factors, but this is our guy who is a bit of a gem. Whoa. See, we ended up way further behind than what the tally had been last week. We were only about 300 or 400 behind them. Less than 5% chance for this D lineman. Higher potential, lower overall. Heading to Kentucky. That is 6 commitments so far, though. The quarterback's definitely leading the way as the 2 highest potential guys and higher end quality. The bigger difference on the rest of them, where the potential is rather lacking, the quality is a lot higher than a number of the players that we have on the roster as is. So it's a bit of a give and take there. Another week, another big loss, 41-10 this time. But we do have another recruit coming in, a C potential 60 overall D lineman. And apparently the D lineman, you're going to get lower ratings, but it's pretty clear that he's not heading to us, and no. Yeah, he's out. And we fall to 0-11 after a 45-7 loss to USC. But we've got a lot of recruits ready to declare 5 this time. 35% chance on this kicker, but he's picked South Carolina. This quarterback, good overall current rating, but lower on the potential side, just 20% chance to sign, and we haven't won any of those where there was multiple targets just yet. Another cornerback, another 20% chance, and another fail. Here's a running back with decent potential, a little bit better chance on this one, and still we don't score. East Carolina is where he's headed. 0 for 4 on the day, but this is a kicker who's decided on UCLA. We just came into him a week ago. I don't think he had an offer from them when I brought him up, but they offered and he instantly signed. So 0 for 5 this week. We miss out on all of them, and we remain at just 6 commitments. We still have a 0% success rate when there has been other schools in the mix with scholarship offers. So here we are once again with a small percentage chance and another loss. That kicker a week ago, that was the one that had no offers that I was like, okay, that's our guy. That's our guy. And we missed out. So I might be back to the drawing board on kickers once again. But I am finding a little more success scouting wise and getting after players that we have a chance at and getting guys like this that nobody else wants, because that's now all 7 of our commitments. We're the only ones giving them a scholarship offer. We're into conference championship week. We've already finished our season winless, 0-12. We were, in the end, 77th out of 78 for points per game. We were dead last on defense, offense next to last, and defense dead last. So, yeah, that makes sense. Almost right in line with where our rankings were of 2 spots above last and last. But we do have a number of commitments to reveal this week, beginning with a JUCO sophomore running back transfer who will come in. He's only a D on potential, but he's a 70 overall. And considering just how bad our starting running back was, a 73 this season, this guy's going to be in the mix immediately and is loyal, so should stick around. D lineman that after a while I decided to not put the effort into, and we dropped to 15% on him. He's going to sign with Tulsa. There's another one of those early ones we went after, 62 overall with a little bit of potential at C-, but I gave up after a while. West Texas. 10% chance on this safety. He's got definitely that higher potential, but again, in the mix with others, we are still at 0%, but we've never had a better than 50% chance on landing any of them. 25% chance on this D lineman, Starkville. And we do get this tight end, C+, potential 64 overall. That's going to be a pretty good pickup for us. At the end of the regular season, the top 5 are Nebraska, the only undefeated team, Auburn, Alabama, Notre Dame, and Clemson. For years to come, we're going to be battling at the bottom, but it's the first year we're doing this, so I'm curious to see just how it plays out. Here is our playoff selection show, and it looks like beginning with number 25, Fort Worth, who finished 8-4. Georgia just 7-5 this season. Oregon 9-3, down at 22. Surprising that their ranking would be that low with that kind of record. Utah at Lansing, North Oklahoma, North Carolina finishes 17th. West Virginia 10-3. Penn State finished 10-3, ranked 14th. Wisconsin 13th at 10-2. Cincinnati into the playoff, number 12 overall, and they were a conference champion, the weaker conference champion, 11-2. Ohio State at number 11 after a 10-2 season. Louisiana 10-2. Michigan 10-2 in the 9 seed. Now on to the first round home teams. USC, conference champion of our Pacific Conference, or Pac-12, Pac-14 here in the game. Auburn 11-2 at number 7. Clemson number 6, and Alabama number 5 with an 11-1 record. 2 11-1 teams are going to have first round home matchups, but not the byes. So that brings us to Florida, conference champion at 11-2. The number 4 seed, Texas, number 3, and conference champion Notre Dame is here in a conference, the Atlantic, and they are champions of it. And Nebraska, the Midwest champion and number 1 overall seed for the coming. So left-hand side are the playoff matchups, and then the additional bowl games. We do have a couple of commitments this week with a linebacker and a kicker. We pick up the linebacker, a B- potential, but only a 58 overall. And then for the kicker, somebody came in with an offer. Again, I keep missing out on these guys. I'll be the only one going in for them. I give them the offer, and instantly somebody else jumps in and goes, whoa, we have to offer too. And they sign with them right away. Good potential, but not going to be our man. Again, being its first year, I'm just curious how this all looks. So Player of the Year ceremony. We've got a Alabama quarterback, Georgia quarterback, even though they were 7-5, Michigan quarterback, Auburn quarterback, and the South Carolina, or is that USC? No, Southern California. Yeah, USC. And the winner is the Alabama quarterback who had 31 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Is that good numbers? 31 touchdowns is a good number, but 7 interceptions seems like a lot. Kind of like number 2 a little bit better, as he only threw a single interception all season, but he had a few less touchdowns. I would have taken this guy. 3,000 yards is definitely a good season, though. Defensive Player of the Year, and they're going to follow this same format, so reveals a couple Nebraska players on the list. But the award is going to go to the player from Missouri. Freshman of the Year went to a Notre Dame. D lineman. Coach of the Year went to the Nebraska coach. And there is your first team offense and defense. And you can see kind of that bare minimum. There's an 85 corner who made the list. An 83. Okay, well, that's surprising that that's about all it took. Of course, we did not make... There's a 103 overall redshirt senior lineman. Okay. Good to know that you can top 100. Dang. Those guys have some quality. We have second, third team. We have first team and second team all freshmen. So pretty deep on the awards list. 3 more commitments this week. Wide receiver joining us. He's a C+ on the potential, 65 overall. We were his only offer. Offensive lineman, only a 15% chance. I really gave up on pretty much all of these, seeing how things were going, but it would be nice to steal one. As for the offensive lineman here, this is a 64 overall, B potential. This is that diamond in the rough that we have located, and he will sign with us. It is a 3-star guy, too, so he's still a 3-star guy, but it is junior college. One new reveal this week was literally the final kicker that didn't have a commitment or an offer. And we come in with an offer. He's only 1 star. And yet Penn State still gets us and takes it away. And he's going to go to Penn State. Playoffs ongoing. We're almost done with that recruiting season. Signing day is going to be happening pretty soon. We've got 2 more coming in here. And I'm loving this one, even though he's only a 57 overall. This D lineman has A- potential and will sign with us. We have a C- running back, 68 overall, junior college transfer. But again, I'm so weak at running back. That's the 3rd of this class, but we needed 2 spots to fill, and 2 of the guys coming in are like a 68 and a 70. So considering our best running back was a 73 this year, it's definitely a pretty big addition for us. In recruitment, offense is shaping up fairly well. I mean, we've got 2 quarterbacks, big time recruits for us, 3 running backs, not great, but they'll improve what we had. 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, 1 offensive lineman so far, and there's 2 more that we're targeting right now. Defense has been a totally different matter, though, as I only have 4 commitments, and the majority of those 4 lack a bit of potential, lack a bit of quality, and our defense was already incredibly weak. So it looks like we could be headed for another terrible season ahead of us. But at least we're up to 14 commitments. Checking in on the commitment rankings, this is kind of what I'm curious about now. I have not looked to see where we fall in, but Alabama, Georgia come in at the top. 19 commitments with 3 5-star guys, 7 4-star guys. We have nothing like that, but we do have a number of 3-star guys. So I'm really curious. For me, it would make a lot more sense that if they kept a kind of consistent piece right here instead of the coach integrity. I'd like to see what my ranking was on that screen, just regularly. Yeah, 55th. 55th, 14 commitments, 13 of them are 3-star guys, and just that single 2-star guy. That's solid. That is solid. We are 55th in the rankings in this first season, at least at this point. We're into the national championship week, so we're really coming up on the end of things. We'll look at what's going on in that picture here in just a second, but we have 2 more coming in. We've got a D lineman who got multiple offers. This was one that had been on the list for a long time, and I gave up quite some time ago. 71 overall, but low potential. This one, a cornerback, 64 overall, but a C plus potential. We were the only one to give him an offer, and he's a bit better than the other cornerback that I had coming in. Better potential and a similar overall rating. So better addition than the other cornerback I had, and at least a little bit of an addition to the position, because I've had a real weakness there and on defense in general. Here is the playoff bracket. So the first round, Michigan beat USC, Cincinnati beat Alabama, Clemson beating Ohio State, and Louisiana, LSU beating Auburn. In the quarterfinals, Nebraska holds off Michigan, Florida holds off Cincinnati, Texas holds off Clemson in double overtime, and LSU with the upset over Notre Dame, who just lost this year's IRL national championship last night. They just about made a game of it there at the end. With really came down to one play. Came down to the that defensive player who over the shoulder, right, came down over the top and punched the ball loose. That turnover was the momentum swing. They had gained some momentum at that point, but it was really to the stage of it being about a 50-50 game. That turnover absolutely gave them the momentum swing that gave them a chance, but wasn't enough. Ohio State taking the win. So that makes both of them out. In the semifinals, it's Nebraska beating Florida and Texas beating LSU. So it's a national championship between the 1 and 4 seed, Nebraska and Texas, happening this week. And Nebraska has won the national championship. Final rankings finish with them on top at number 1, Notre Dame 2, Alabama 3, Texas 4. Actually, it looks like that might be unchanged. Is it? It's hard to say. It looks like that's unchanged. Maybe not. And our summary, of course, is a winless 0-12 season. Gotta start somewhere, right? So the athletic director opinion change drops by 15 down to a 35 as we miss the opportunity, the expectation to win 2 games. Of course, he's going to have pretty unrealistic expectations, hence the difficulty level. But we have a stubborn fan base, and after a poor performance, yeah, we are losing a little bit of fan base passion, but it's going to take a long time for that to really go anywhere. It's going to be a number of years, but it's going to take a long time to get it back if and when. Win part being the key, not the if. When we become a winning program. But coaching integrity goes up by just 3%. You gain 3% per year. All right. Well, we might need to be looking for a better coach anyway. Coach updates here at the end of the season. Now, having everybody at a low level looks like is enough to see them almost automatically get gains. The realistic thing, though, is they had a terrible season, so their gains are going to be minimal because they missed expectations, which was both on me and on the coaches. So it's kind of a both directions with that one. Being a young coach, they're going to gain experience regardless, and it exceeds the missed expectations. So they still pick up 250 XP and a level. So now level 11, age 33. Okay, so the head coach is young. This is something I'm going to have to look at for the other two. But training and recruiting are clearly the places where we're going to need our coaching staff to be at its best. Right now, we don't need them to be amazing play callers. We need them to build a team capable of doing something down the road. We might switch to another coach who can coach at that point. Recruiting, a lot of the recruiting comes through kind of the head coach, so we're going to give him a point in recruiting. For the offensive coordinator, let's give him a point in training. He's also just 32. He gets a skill badge. Okay, he's up to level 12. Missed expectations hurt him less. So from the badges that I get to choose from, they all have a little bit of an impact on the team in games. The one I'm going to pick for this first one is clutch factor, which is a +1 to all offensive attributes in the fourth quarter. Here's my thinking behind that. It's a rather silly one, but I have a feeling we're going to get blown out a lot next season. So, fourth quarter, other teams are going to have their backups in. Our team could actually perform at a higher level in the fourth quarter regardless. We add plus ones, and they might do even more. What it could end up doing is some random target of score X amount of points. If we get one of those again next year, this could set us up to actually do that. And you never know. This might be that steal one game scenario. Our defensive coordinator is also young at just 31, so I'm going to end up hanging on to these guys at least for a little bit. He's already got a 4 in training. We're going to give him a boost to recruiting as we are so weak in recruiting. So all of these guys had either a 2-year or 3-year deal. I think we're going to just go right along with where we were, no changes. The athletic director thinks we should retain the coaching staff, and I tend to agree. There are better options. There are absolutely better options, but I think this is more akin to where we want to be with things anyway as we grow and develop. Let's see if we can grow and develop any of these coaches and, retain them and see them get better. Our outgoing players. First off, we did use some of the NIL money, $680K, 2 current commits. We have $250K in outstanding offers, as signing day has yet to happen. So we still have over $2 million left. And, obviously, nobody's going into the draft, but we do have a number of graduating players, including all of our best guys, all of our best players. 19 of the 20 were 70 plus, which means 19 of them were the bulk of the starting 11 on either side of the ball that we had. There was no hint that any would be leaving. However, it looks like we have 3 players that are going to transfer out, and here is that option on cut. So we have a kicker, and this is a problem because I've not been able to sign a kicker for the incoming freshman class or even a junior college transfer. I've got a number of offers out there, and we are unlikely to get any of them as we had that 0% success rate on offers that there was competition on. I don't think we're going to get any of those guys. But we do have a couple of quarterbacks also transferring out, but we have got 2 guys coming in that I think will still be okay at that position. So the kicker is somebody we definitely don't want to lose because he is projected to be first on the depth chart for next year. And as I'm having a problem with signing anybody with that high potential, this is very much somebody we want to hang on to desperately. So we're going to try to convince him to stay. Okay, so we could do an NIL kind of deal, or we can promise that he's got 10 games. He's going first on the list, and that will work. Okay. He's been convinced. Not transferred. Good. Quarterback situation is a curious one. So we have a 3-star, good potential recruit coming in, right, for the future. I do expect him to be a starter in time because you could see how this 1-star junior, clearly he's going to be better than him probably this year. Then we have our junior college sophomore coming in. That gives us an advantage, right? We're able to redshirt this guy and develop and hope for that he grows into being a pretty solid player over time. Well, this guy becomes a starter, and looking at his potential versus 2 other guys at a 72, I expect him to start this year. But we have a redshirt freshman with low potential, and then we have a junior with slightly better potential, but both of them are kind of right there on top of each other. Expect that Muhammad's going to end up being the starter. I don't want to lose them both because we need to have 4 scholarships. Like, we're supposed to have 4 scholarships here. I'd like to retain 1, but what does it take to get them to stay? I'm not giving them a giant NIL, and I'm definitely not wasting the integrity either, so we're not going to convince that guy to stay or this guy to stay. So we are going to be down to 3 quarterbacks, 2 of them brand new to the program. So I'm making my way through the roster. We're allowed 3 free scholarship player cuts. I definitely plan on using all 3 of them to trim the roster here a little bit. So for each player additional that I were to cut would cost us 1 coach integrity. For now, I'm trying to build that up. We don't want to use that up. So we're only going to cut 3 players. We've got a wide receiver, a D lineman, and a cornerback that all have either an F or a D minus in potential, are all freshmen or sophomores at the bottom of the depth chart. And then we do have the 2 quarterbacks. I don't want to lose the 2 quarterbacks, but we don't seem to have a choice in the matter. The other quarterback, right? They're decent, but these guys are really weak. So we won't miss them. The pro draft has concluded with an offensive lineman, redshirt senior out of Louisville, being the first pick overall. 110 is his rating. Crazy quality there. You can see all of the top picks are really, really good players. Most of them coming in as All-American or Player of the Year. A lot of players entering the transfer portal. Hall of Fame inductees, the Player of the Year and the Defensive Player of the Year, have been added to apparently a game Hall of Fame. There's also a Ring of Honor, which has the same 2 players plus 1 additional. And of course, the all-time record book is going to be starting from scratch, so it's going to be filling in for this year. But for the school records, this is one to keep an eye on. Of course, everything from this year became a school record. 1 interception, 1 forced fumble, 1 defensive touchdown. Literally top the list. Nobody accumulated double digits. Only 2 rushing touchdowns the entire season. We did have 9 touchdowns from our quarterback and 9 interceptions. At least he had a 50-50 ratio. We have both player and team records, so it's really nice that we'll be able to keep an eye on these things as time goes on. So it looks like the off season, before we have the official signing day, we'll have 3 stages for the recruiting. This is going to include that transfer portal plus the remaining signees that are out there, and we have 10 scholarships. And quickly finding the off-season recruiting is wild. It's only 3 sessions. You've got all those transfers in there. It's a huge pool, and that decision day comes real fast. And you still have those leftover high school ones in the mix as well. So a lot can happen. And of course, a program like us offers something that most programs can't offer, and that is playing time. The really, really good players could go to anywhere they want. They're just trying to get into those best schools, sure, but there's a lot of players that were backups that left their programs because they were backups, and they left because they are looking for the starting job somewhere else. And that's something that we can really offer at a lot of positions. But if there's any competition, we're going to lose out. It's the Wild West. The good news is we have a real shot at landing a pretty good quarterback in the transfer market. There's a lot of guys out there that just want to start. They've backed somebody up, they've learned, they've gotten pretty good, and we have that advantage of they can come in immediately, and there's not too many programs that are going to be as weak as we are at the position. So there's a wide number of guys where we are either first or second on their list just from making contact with them. 2 offers are out there right now, a 77 overall with an A potential redshirt freshman, and a 78 overall A minus potential, but we can only make so many offers and can't afford to be signing all of these guys. So starting to be a little bit careful. I'm currently at 33 recruit targets, and there's 42 outstanding offers out there, and there's a limit of 50, and you can only sign so many. I mean, I only have 10 more scholarship spots at the moment. Final week before signing day, and that quarterback market just got scary. I'm unlikely to sign any of them at this stage, so I think I'm going to have to double down on a few more offers and hope that one of them does pick us, because at the moment we aren't likely to get any of them. Offering this guy might be our best chance. Moment of truth as we're going to be heading into signing day. And then that picks up with the school updates, I think, going into the next season, right about where we... well, no, that's still off season, so there's still a little bit left to do here. Anyway, we're down to 30 targets here for signing day. a total of 47 offers out there, but a lot of this is coming down to a lot of kickers who just aren't going to sign with us, a lot of quarterbacks who just aren't going to sign with us, but we do have some limits in place just in case. So far, we have literally lost every battle. We have a 0% success rate this season when going head-to-head against another team, not only on the football field, but in the houses of recruits as well. We've done all we can. It's that moment of truth. What's it gonna be? Signing ceremonies for many players. I reorganized the entire roster so that if any of them do sign with us, they would be the priority to sign first and then down the list. 5% chance for this first guy. Yeah, he's not coming for us. So that still keeps the quarterback position open for the time being. But he was a 78 overall. We have a 78 overall here as well. And, we were really close in the ratings with those guys. And then we lost by a freaking country mile. So, yes, there is something more to just the numbers. It's not just those raw numbers. And even as they are estimates and not exact, there's something else going on as well about prestige and performance, blah blah blah, that sways things heavily, because we were within 100 points and this is showing us being 14-30 behind Georgia. 30% chance here, a little bit better. We definitely need a kicker, but East Carolina's getting this one. So all of our biggest prospects are not going to sign with us, but someone will. South Florida, 10% chance here. We haven't pulled any of them. Still 10% chance. Nothing. No signing day commits. Here we finally have one. We're going to get a wide receiver who's a 66 overall with a B- potential, because we're the only ones. That is a high school recruit who just waited till today for his decision. West Virginia was 100 points ahead. They have a 95% chance. Like, what? Really? Looks like we are going to get our kicker, though. We are going to get a kicker. It's a 1-star freshman transfer who's a 69 overall with B potential, and he is not taking the starting job away from the guy that we promised it. He's just giving us a scholarship player for depth. Second commitment of the day. One whole page behind us, and we've literally only picked up 2 guys. 35% chance a D lineman that we might actually get. This would be our first. And we still don't get it. Wisconsin. And comfortably, apparently. 1,366 points. We were ahead on this guy by a good margin. We still lose out. 0% continues. 0% continues. 5%ers. We're not going to get those. We're still at a total of 2, and it's these guys that nobody else wants. There's 3 of them. So high potential players, which is good. Are actually all transfers, but they're all freshman transfers with high potential that are starting in the low 60s. A D lineman, an offensive lineman, and a linebacker added to the class. So we are getting some players at least. Okay, here we go again. 35% chance. It's a 70 overall C potential cornerback out of high school. It says we have a 35% chance, but LSU is in the mix. And that's where he's going. Next up, we have 5 players in a row that should all be ours, as we are their only offer. A mix of potential and current abilities. So we've got a D lineman, safety who's a little bit neutral. These are high school or junior college guys, all of them, but we got a 70 overall high school wide receiver, but lower potential. So it comes in better, but isn't going to improve as much along the way. We got a junior college guy, so he's coming in a little bit older, but he starts as a 69 overall. And then we've got a good potential one here, so we should be picking up all of those. And finally, we're down to the last 2. And these were the ones that I very much kind of wanted to get rid of at the end, but we had already given offers to, and that's that. We did get 10 on the day. That's 25 overall. Full recruiting class. Notre Dame tops the rankings. But how did we hold out? We were looking pretty good the one time we checked in. We did drop some positions from there. But 59th for our first recruiting class. 19 3-star guys, 2 2-star guys, and 4 transfers. I'm assuming, is that transfer? Yes, it would be nice if this bar showed up once every, 15 or 20 spots so you could kind of see what was going on. So we are at our 85 scholarships. That's our first win of the year. Really, our first win of the year is that our recruiting class, while not good, was very much not the worst. It was not last. We did pretty okay with the recruiting class. All right, folks, there's a couple last little off-season things, but I'm going to wait for the next episode. We've already gone pretty long on this one, and I've gone really long. But that's going to be the nature of these first few seasons. Okay, it's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be slow. There's going to be a lot happening. So instead of having a lot of episodes to see slow, incremental progress, I'm going to give you a lot of summary stuff. We're not going to play as many games in these early seasons until we can start securing some wins and being competitive. For now, we're dead last, and dead last for a reason, and it's going to be a while before we can get out of that gutter. So we're going to try to move through the first seasons rather rapidly. That is going to do it for this episode, though. Again, algorithm, little help, please. If you didn't at the beginning, leave a comment. What did you think of this first recruiting class, especially for those of you who have played the game? Did we do all right with these guys? There's definitely a lot of players with some higher potential, and outside of the earliest targets that I went for, I think we did a lot better as time went on, as opposed to kind of how we started out with that. We settled for a few guys early on that really weren't great prospects, and yet even then I was kind of excited about them because they were better than a lot of what I had on the roster. The additions we have now, I think, are definitely going to get us heading in the right direction. The one difficulty, though, is we had a lot of seniors on this roster, and with those guys graduating, there's going to be a big drop-off in quality, and we were already the worst team. We're going to be even worse, but out of the rest of what that roster was, I like this class, and I think it's going to start getting us in that right direction, but it's not going to be next year that we're suddenly fixed. It's going to take multiple seasons to accumulate enough talent, enough prospects, get the right transfers coming in to start being competitive. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.